This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
It was a mad scramble for us to hop back over to Indianapolis, but we are here, and the first of the final cars is on track trying to bump their way in the 2019 OpenWheels.com 500-mile race here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Yesterday, we saw Mr. Young O, a legend in the iRacing IndyCar community. He is the sole driver that locked himself into the field by taking pole position, which meant 32 spots over 11 rows are still up for grabs. Brandon Treno is first to go, and this is the end of his first lap of qualifying that you are seeing right here, right now. He's going to cycle through at a quick time of 39.174 for his first lap. So it's myself, Randy Chinip, and Tyler Maxson bringing you coverage for this one. We might also, have some drivers cycling throughout the event, but full of drama yesterday, Tyler, and I think with bump day today, we're going to see even more drama as these guys fight for the total 33 starting spots that are up for grabs.
Yeah, we thought that pole day was crazy yesterday. Bump day is the craziest. Everybody is fighting for those top 33 spots. 32 are up for grabs today. And as you can see, drivers are doing these last-ditch efforts here in the final hour of bump day.
So let's take a look, actually, as Brandon Treno, he's going to come to the end of his second lap. That's a 39.134. That's actually quite good. He's actually pretty close to very, very forward-running pace that we saw yesterday. But we'll do a rundown here. Actually, we'll wait until the end of Brandon Treno's run here to take a look at what the currently the field looks like. You see Treno out there on the racetrack. We've just hopped into a new session. So this qualifying procedure happening over several sessions, Tyler. The graphic to the left of Treno's name giving what would typically be a position, not quite accurate because this is a completely different practice or qualifying session technically. So ignore the number to the left of Treno there. But it's actually been a very good run for him. A 39.174 to start the run, a 39.134 to go the second lap, and a 39.152 on lap number 3. Treno is on a very quick run at the moment.
Yeah, Brandon Treno on a very good run. If he can just keep it together here through turns 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway, he should have a very good run indeed. He gets a nice run through turn number 4, and he heads down the front straightaway. What will it be? And it is going to be a 39.232. That's not a bad run from Brandon Treno.
We'll do the math right now, and that should equal out to a 39.173 average over the laps. That would have been good enough to put him fourth yesterday, as John Hadjic-Doggett ends up, was P3 with a 39.172. So Brandon Treno, who is not in the field, I don't think, he's going to bump his way up in towards P4, inside of the second row. He's going to be more than pleased with that.
Yeah, that was a very good run there for Brandon Treno. Moves himself up into fourth. He'll be on the inside of the second row, being that they are doing a 3-wide start here. So not a bad run for him at the start of the final hour of bump day.
And now the race, of course, will be next week. The race is not happening directly after this, so do not fret if you're tuning in and potentially wondering where or when this race is going to be. But Brandon Treno first to go out and showing everyone that you can get the lap done and dusted, and doesn't look like we have anyone set up to run at the moment. And this is one of the sort of interesting things here with qualifying the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You have to kind of go up, you line up to get an attempt. They've yet to send out another driver for a run, Brandon Treno being the first to go.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be the number 39 of Hugo Olsen, but he is not currently. I don't even believe he's not in the car at this point. So he, as of right now, will not take his attempt. But next up after that is Andres Eek. So he has another attempt that he could go here in just a moment if the Scandinavian driver of Hugo Olsen does not take his attempt.
So we'll see who's going to be up next here, and we'll see if Hugo Olsen actually ends up taking the run. I know that from when you get the call, I believe you get 60 seconds to then take it. Also, something else to keep in mind, I know in the top left corner you see a clock that's counting down from 47. That clock is not accurate. The qualifying ends at 50 past the hour. It is 5:50 Eastern local time, what they're basing on. Hugo Olsen has entered the race car. That's the car we're seeing right now, red and white machine on your screen right now, and he will make the call here. So out onto the racetrack goes Hugo Olsen. I don't believe he's currently in the field, and I'm not seeing him. So he's even the first one to go out there, and the next driver to go out there and try to bump themselves in. Right now, bubble time is Andrew Wood. That's at a 4-lap average speed of 39.226. So right now, your field right now over a 4-lap average here, Tyler, separated by less than a tenth of a second. 4-lap average for Young O, who set the pole at a 39.143. Andrew Wood, who's potentially getting bumped here, depending on who comes up next, at a 39.226. So this field is scary competitive as Hugo Olsen works his outlap before he takes the warm-up lap.
Yeah, he's working through his outlap right now, but this, like you were saying, this field is incredibly competitive here in this qualifying sessions, really. Over the course of the 2 days, it's a long days for these drivers, so you know they will be absolutely probably ecstatic whenever they can finally be done with qualifying. And if they're in the field, you know that they will be extremely happy to not have to go through the stress of qualifying a bump day again. But right now, it is Hugo Olsen on the track. Like you said, he is not in the field at this point. I don't see him, at least, in the top 33 spots. So this is pretty much a do-or-die run for him.
So this is going to begin now Hugo Olsen's qualifying run after the warm-up lap. Lap number 1 will get rolling, and let's see what he can put down the Scandinavian driver. The warm-up lap is a 40.396. That's not necessarily indicative of what his run and what his first lap will actually look like. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see the running order as they sit and the lap times as they sit. That red line on the bottom, you might see a little bit of a gap underneath one of those names. That is the cutoff for these drivers. You see right now it's Adam Plunkett, who's the last driver. You also see Andre Seek and others in there as well, as these guys are going to come off this final corner and work down the front straightaway for Hugo Olsen. His first lap will cycle through at a 39.227, so not quite up to the speed we saw from Brandon Treno's opening run, but still a decent lap here. And there's cars in the field that were sort of around that mark for their opening lap, Tyler.
Yeah, there's a few cars there, but if he wants to make this field, he's really got to step it up in laps 2 and 3, because we know how far off the drivers have been falling on lap number 4, so he really can't afford to fall off too much unless he's got an absolute flying laps 2 and 3, but we'll see as he comes on to the front straightaway now how this second lap will fare for him.
This needs to be quicker, I think, surely, and he's going to come across the yard of bricks, and he'll go to a .186, so he will improve on the second lap, but this is where things start getting difficult. We saw this a couple times yesterday, Tyler. Lap 3 and lap 4. Seems like drivers have a couple potential setup options that they can really work with. The opening lap tends to be, either you're doing a 4-lap run that's very consistent, which means your lap 3 and 4 won't drop off, but lap 1 and 2 will be a little bit slower, or you make 1 and 2 ultra quick, and you make 3 and 4, there's going to be a 1 to 2/10 drop off. We saw that several times yesterday, and it'll be interesting to see if we see that drop off from Hugo, or if he stays consistent, as lap 3 locked itself in the books at a 39.217.
39.217 there for Hugo Olsen. Right now, I'm just taking a look at the 33rd place driver, Adam Plunkett. Right now, his laps have been slower, except for his third lap, than Adam's time. So right now, it's not looking too good here for Hugo if he's looking to lock himself into the field.
So lap 1, a little bit off the pace compared to Adam Plunkett. Lap 2, a little bit off the pace, but they've not been much. It's been within a couple hundredths. And this final lap could be the decider. As he comes off of turn 4, he'll scream down start finish. It's going to be a 39, but is it going to be a 39 what? He'll go to a 269, and that's actually quicker than Plunkett's last lap was. What is this 4-lap average about to dial up into? I've got I don't think I did that math correctly. I've got a 224.75, and if it's a 224, Adam Plunkett may have just been bumped from the field.
I got him right now at a 39.220. So right now, that would put him into the field.
So we'll wait for official confirmation. Like we've said before, we're actually doing this a little bit by the skin of our teeth, because we don't typically have, this is not something we typically do. And looking at things, Hugo Olsen has been put into the field. We're waiting for our running order update, and he has currently scored 32nd. So not only does Adam Plunkett get bumped out here, but he actually takes a spot away from Silvio Sanchez as well, which means now Silvio is the bubble driver.
Yeah, so Silvio Sanchez is now on the bubble line here for this run, and he is not far. Hugo Olsen really got in by the skin of his teeth. He was only 3/1000ths faster than Silvio Sanchez, and so right now, though, it's Sanchez on the bubble.
So Sanchez on the bubble is a wait to see. Do we know who we have coming up next?
I believe we have the number 76 of Andreas Eek.
So Andres Eek will be the next driver. Very, very experienced driver here at the Speedway and in iRacing. Currently not yet getting out on the racetrack. Going to burn a little bit of time. And there's always the interesting thing here, Tyler. You get a little bit of time, of course, to burn off if you go out there on the racetrack. What do you think you do if you're one of these drivers that's maybe pretty close to the bubble spot? If you're the likes of Brendan Lichtenberg, even Hugo Olsen, Silvio Sanchez, do you think you risk maybe taking another run and taking track time away from these other drivers, knowing that you've only got a half hour that you have to exist, and a qualifying runs basically burns off about 3 minutes?
It's definitely a possibility, and it can be a strategy for some drivers, but you've also got to take into account where if you aren't confident that you're going to improve your time or at least match it, then it's almost not worth it. It's almost just better just to take the risk and not pull your previous time away. And if you're going to do anything, possibly just be ready to possibly do a run if they do allow you to, and there is time to do one. It's almost just better just to kind of be ready in case you do get bumped out, and then if you get the opportunity to go back at it again.
So we are going to bring in a couple of people who have already qualified and I believe are pretty much already in the field. We saw one of them run, Brandon Treno. Brandon, how do you feel after that qualifying run? We saw you as the first car out there, and you put down a splendid time, and you jump up a number of positions. That's going to put you 22nd. Of course, drivers qualifying on day 2 are technically the drivers, on day 1 will be gridding up ahead of drivers qualifying on day 2. So you currently sit 22nd, and I have a feeling that's going to be more than safe from this point on. I don't think there's any way we get through 11 cars.
Yeah, I definitely could have gone a little bit better. I touched the wall in the short shoot 1 and 2 on the last lap. I definitely could have had a sub .2. But knowing that I have to start behind all those people who have already put a time down on Saturday, it doesn't really matter. The good thing is I think I'm locked into the field. Hopefully I don't get bumped here. But it's a good run. Really happy with our pace that I5G and Broken Arrow has shown so far in qualifying. And we had really good race pace in May. We've made our sets a little bit better. Hopefully in the draft is what we worked on the most. And yeah, just hopefully we have a good run. I know a lot of us are starting in the middle of the field, so we'll just have to take our time, get in the front, and avoid the wrecks.
So Andres Eek works out there towards the end of this. Should be his opening lap. Indeed it is, and he'll come across turn 4. We have Zach Campbell on hand as well. We'll see what this time is. 39.207 in the ballpark here for Andre. But Zach, I'm sure you have to be feeling comfortable as well. You sit 23rd. Just for the time that we have left, I don't think there's any way we get these 10 or 11 cars and see you bumped all the way down to 34th. I think even time is just on your side right now, even regardless of speed.
Yeah, I mean,
Zach is very quiet.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday we just did not have the best run at all, because we didn't have the luck of the draw there with our initial attempt, because right here, when the track's clean and there are not a lot of cars on it, it's really cool and you're able to get a heck of a run. And we drew like 30th yesterday, and I think we hit a 2.25 average on our first run. And then today, I mean, I just decided to send it around 11 this morning and got all the way up to P6 or whatever I am now. And even though you start behind day one qualifiers, you're still in the show. I mean, if I hadn't run, I think we would have been around where Andrew Wood is right now, right on the bubble. And Andreas is on a hell of a run right now. So, so that's, you know, lucky, really. But, I mean, it's been a fantastic weekend so far. I've loved everything Tanner has done with this race and this event. I mean, it's been unbelievable.
So he'll come through, and third lap's going to register at a 39.199. Lap 1 a 39.207, lap 2 a 39.180, and lap 3 a 39.199. Very good time looking out from Andre Seek now, and this is actually potentially shaking up here, Tyler, to not only get him off the bubble or in the field, but actually pretty well up the running order. He's nearly matching the likes of what we saw from Treno.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely quick here as his third lap runs through. He's on his final lap now as he rounds what looks to be turns 2. Through 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway. And let's see, what will lap 4 come out to be? It's going to be a 39.266. So not a bad run at all there from Andreas Eek.
So we'll do some calculating on our end to see what that average was. I've got 39.213, which is a very respectable 4-lap average, and that's what Race Control is showing as well, as they slot him into his position in the field here. So we'll wait a moment for our timing to get updated, but it looks like Andres Eek will take the 29th position after qualifying there. He will match what Matt Pavelski managed yesterday. Pavelski, of course, will slot ahead of him because of that. But Andre Seek getting himself in the field here. And Brandon, how does that feel? You, of course, just went through it. Andres is going to be feeling that emotion as well, knowing he just bumped himself into the 33 cars. Tell me about what the emotions feels like for the Team Talent driver.
Yeah, he's probably a lot relieved now that his run's over. I think anybody can vouch for this, that putting 4 laps together here and being consistent with how on edge we set these cars up to get all the speed we can is an enormous amount of stress. But it's good for him. He's in the field. It's bad for the person he just bumped out, though.
Yeah, it's definitely bad news bears. His next driver out there on the racetrack is going to be this man, Mr. Matt Hollebow. And Zach, I kind of want your opinion. What do you think we're going to see from the driver rocking Thrustmaster colors at the moment? You think Matt's likely to bump his way in?
We'll have to see. I know Matt was in the field until not too long ago. But today has just been crazy. I mean, you look at guys like, I know Silvio Sanchez is on the bubble, and he was P2 in May for the iRacing Indy 500. And you really kind of have to look at it to where this is so tough to do in so few runs. And, I mean, Matt's really got to put his head in the right place because this is his last run no matter what. And he's got to make something happen here. He's only about 100th off the bubble, but finding 100th here is harder than finding 100th anywhere else.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that, as he'll come across and he'll begin his warm-up lap here, will Matt Hollebow. But timer ticking down here, Tyler, for these guys. 24 minutes left on the clock before we get to 50 past the hour, 10 till the hour, and that's when qualifying comes to the end and no new runs will be started. It is important to say, though, that if you're on track before that point, 50 past the hour, you will still be, of course, allotted and available to actually run and finish your run. It's just that they will not take a run after that gun is sounded.
Yep, they will not take a run after 5:50 p.m. EST. But as long as you start your run, like you said, before that marker, then you will be allowed to complete it. We have a couple of drivers right now in line to get that run done. So after Matt goes, it will be Andrew Wood who will go back out again. But Matt Hollenberg will start his first lap.
Yep, and he'll roll through 1 and 2. This, of course, these couple laps expected to be about the most stable of your 4-lap qualifying run, your 4-lap qualifying average down the back straightaway, and in towards 3 and 4 for the first time. Tell me a little bit, Brandon, about really maintaining the tires here over one of these 4-lap runs, because I know that having the warm-up lap is going to be changing how these tires feel. We talked a little bit about it with Demerit yesterday, but how does having that warm-up lap really change how the car feels over the run as he cycles through to 2.50 on his opener?
Yeah, so with this warm-up lap, you put another lap of load on the tires. And if you watch, everybody comes out of the pits slow and doesn't get up to speed until just right before the line. And that's just an effort to keep the tires cool, and then just help, your actual 4-lap average. But, the key to keeping your tires cool is just keeping the in-car adjustments under you, not sliding the right rear, not getting it too tight, not getting it too loose, being really smooth on your inputs. There is a lot that goes into keeping your tires under you, but there's just a lot you can do, but there's also a chance that you just make that one little slide off of turn 4 and your right rear's toast for the rest of the run.
And Zach, how crazy are you guys going with the actual setup adjustments that you have? I mean, I know that that especially in recent years, because the iRacing is still relatively new, and we've seen some changes to how the track model works. People were taking big swings. I mean, how much are the likes of the weight jacker and the roll bars changing for drivers over the course of the run as Matt Hollebo will start his final lap?
I mean, I think we're not doing too much until the tires get really old. ARBs, we're not really touching, but weight jacker every single corner once your tires are kind of worn. You really got to be on it here, and it's hard. I mean, especially hitting your line and making all these adjustments and keeping your mind focused, because, I mean, especially in this car on road courses, I never liked making car adjustments because it kind of screws with my mind a little bit, and so just focusing on your driving, too, is watch Matt Hollenberg come to the line, and I don't think it's going to be enough.
We'll see what the time is. It's a .341 here for Matt, and we'll add these numbers up on our end. We'll see what we get. And I come through with a 39.267 average, and that's about 400ths off, and that's confirmation, I think, there, Tyler, unless I'm horrible at math, which is very likely, that Mr. Matt Hollebo will not be making the field for the Open Wheels Indy 500 next week.
No, he will not. Your math is spot on, Randy. He will slot into 40th place, and that will not be enough for him to make the field here in a week's time. So Matt Hollenberg will not make the field, and he will not slot himself into the top 33 spots. Just a few more drivers left to go before we cap off qualifying. Just about 20 minutes left.
Yep, 20 minutes, and of course every run you're seeing laps roughly about 40 seconds, so you factor in the fact that these drivers have an out lap, which is going to be a little bit longer than that 40-second mark because they're coming from pit road speed. They have, of course, the warm-up lap, which we know they're taking it relatively easy on through the first part of the racetrack, trying to manage the tires, and then 4 laps after that. So 6 laps potentially in total these drivers are really getting. You're basically burning off, what is that, 3 to 4 minutes every single time a car is out there on the racetrack. And actually, Treno, I want to ask you about this. What's sort of the strategy, with drivers potentially actually pulling out onto the racetrack and burning time? I know that you technically get a minute from when your name is called. Do you think some of these guys are burning that minute up just in case they take that 33rd spot and don't get into the field and potentially take someone's opportunity away to make a run?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough question. I haven't really seen anybody do it. Tanner's done a good job of implementing that 60-second timer before you get to the line to hopefully prevent that. But maybe as we get towards the end of this session here, you'll see a lot more people maybe show up and try to get in line, and maybe play some games to prevent other people from getting runs, getting in the field, trying to bump other people out that they may not be friends with. Just have to wait and see.
So this is the warm-up lap here for Mr. Andrew Wood as he pulls out onto the racetrack. And I think actually talking about getting in line here, Zach, I think we're pretty much at the point where this is basically going to be your final run, whether you have another one or not. I think that this late in the game, even if you don't get into the field and you have a third run available, I don't think you're going to have time to get back out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. Right now, I think the queue is going to be empty right after Andrew Wood goes here, and we're going to see if anyone hops in. I don't know if Tanner's actually going to open the track for practice here once Andrew Wood's done, but I mean, you look at the names here. I'm surprised a lot of people aren't here. Ryan Norton, Chris Stouffer's not here. I mean, these are some big names that are right on the cusp of getting bumped. I'm really shocked that guys aren't trying to flood into this line, because really anyone can. The thing about this is that anyone can really bump anyone out. It's completely unknown. It's completely there's been some real surprises here, and so I think that really to be able to guarantee your way in, you should at least be in the session and in the queue.
So first time for Mr. Andrew Wood will come through at a 39.224. Does anyone actually know by chance, is this Andrew's second or third run? Because
This is Andrew's third run right now.
So he won't be able to immediately hop back out in line. So this is really all or nothing here for Andrew Wood, as he'll work down the back straightaway and in towards turns 3 and 4 for the second time of his 4-lap run. So a lot of pressure here, Tyler, for Andrew Wood, and he's going to work through on turn 2. The first lap a little on the slower end than I think you might want to see at a 2:24, but like we said, we've seen a couple drivers sort of in that bracket. Second lap more indicative, and he's gotten it up to pace at a 39.182. He's matching both Hugo Olsen and Silvio Sanchez. He's actually quicker on both of the first 2 laps than either of those drivers.
Yeah, and that is very crucial for him. As long as he doesn't fall off too hard here on laps 3 and 4, he's looking to have a pretty good run for himself, and he really needs that, because like you said, being that this is his third run, he won't be able to jump back in line again. He won't be able to make any more runs, so this is literally do or die here for Andrew Wood.
So let's see, lap number 3. This is where the car is going to start getting difficult to wheel, difficult to drive. You're going to be all over the place with those in-car adjustments. Third lap's a decent one at a 39.201. The drivers he's fighting with on lap 3 were in the .252 and .273. Excuse me, I take that back. 216 and 204 on their third lap. So he's quicker than them again, 3 laps on. So right now, Andrew Wood is on pace to bump his way into the open wheels 500-mile race presented by Mitchell Transmissions. But he has to nail this 4th and final lap that we know is so difficult. Off of turn 4, he will work, nearly getting to the outside retaining wall. He will come through, and this is going to be a 39.295. And this is going to be tight because there's a bit of drop-off there compared to what we've seen from the other drivers. We will do some quick math on our end. I come through at a 39.225, and that should put him in the field.
I think he actually just missed out on it there by 2 1,000ths of a
Oh,
second.
I think you're
yes,
right.
He does.
Oh,
2
no.
1,000ths of a second.
2 1,000ths of a second. Silvio Sanchez, the 39.223 holds just. 4th lap for Silvio with a 39.273. The 4th lap for Andrew Wood, a 39.294. So we've been talking all about it the last couple days here about how difficult it is to get yourself into the field. But he is going to be P34, and that final run killed him.
It really did, Randy. It absolutely killed his average. If he was just a little bit faster on that lap, then he would have had it. It wasn't much, but that last lap there, dropping off 9 100ths of a second from his previous attempt, that absolutely killed his run and inevitably cost him making this field.
That's my apologies, though, as well, by the way, for saying he got in. I was looking at the wrong graph on the, excuse me, the wrong row on the spreadsheet that we're utilizing to keep track of everything. This is obviously not something we do that often, so it's a little bit difficult to do so. But now, I mean, clock's just burning for these guys, Tyler, and it could be a relatively anticlimactic end to the qualifying session if over this next 14 minutes, we don't get at least someone else out there to go and run. I mean, there's still a number of big names that Zach kind of ran down earlier that have to go out and qualify. Likes of, I'm seeing times, Andrew Wood now is just outside. He's technically the 34th qualifier, but Adam Plunkett, Chad Simpson, Niall McBride, Ryan Norton, Jeff Stanton, Blade Witt. I see Justin Kerry pulling out onto the racetrack. Is this a qualifying effort? Does anyone know if the track's open for practice?
I believe the track is open for practice, but don't quote me on that. I could have misheard that, but I believe the track is open for practice.
So this is a qualifying effort, I believe. So this is going to be Justin Kerry, who's going to be the next one to go. I'm not sure where Justin is currently lined up. So apologies on that one. Trying to find him in our list of drivers. But he is going to be the next one to run. So Justin Kerry looking to bump his way in here. Let's go to Treno on this one. What are you expecting here from Justin?
Not too sure, honestly. I haven't seen any of his other runs, but I'm assuming he has some decent pace. Everybody who's been going here recently has been right there on that bubble time. So just saw Wood miss out by a couple of thousands. We might see Justin Kerry bump himself in by a couple of thousands. We'll have to wait and see.
So drivers works his way out on the racetrack. This is going to be his warm-up lap right here, not his first attempt. So again, going to be very, very important. We do have another driver as well lined up to go. That is going to be the number 84 of Ryan Norton, who is checked into the server, and he is going to be the next one to get to run. He is pretty much guaranteed to be able to get out there and actually make an attempt. And actually, Zach, I want to ask you this as well. Do you know if Tanner has the ability to wave drivers off? I know that's something we've seen historically at the Speedway in the past. If a driver's speed is just not up, if a driver's run is just not anywhere close to speed, the Speedway and race officials have in the past waved off qualifying attempts. Is that something Watkins might throw out at a driver if they're tremendously off speed?
I think so. I think if Justin here is just not quick enough, I think Tanner can go and wave him off. But right now, I think it's only Ryan Norton in line, so I don't see. I don't think that Tanner would have to wave Justin off here unless he was just very obviously not going to make the field.
Let's see. He'll come off turn 4 and across the stripe, and first lap not even close. Tyler, 39.326. He's nearly 2/10 off where you want to be.
Yeah, that is not a good first lap, and I believe from what I'm seeing on this sheet here that Justin crashed on his last attempt on lap number 40. He has no time registered, and this is his third and final attempt. I do know that for sure. So he has really got some pressure on him right now, and it doesn't seem that car is too good on pace.
So we'll come off of turn 4. I'll say, looking at the mile-an-hour chart that you see down there, it's not up to anywhere near where you would want to be. We'll bring the lap time up. 39.277. He kind of picks it up there a little bit there, Treno, but he's going to have to get both of those laps in the mid to low 2s for both lap 3 and lap 4 to have any sort of speed here. And that would mean getting quicker over your 4-lap run. And we've not seen too many people do that. We saw Chris Stouffer yesterday have an amazingly consistent run, but he's really the only one. And I don't think Justin Kerry is looking like he's going to match that.
No, unfortunately not. He's got to pick it up quite a bit here over the next 2 laps. But his first 2 laps haven't been that good. And like you said, it's very hard to get faster over your 4 laps. Very few people do that. And as he just hits the wall at the turn 1 right here.
And his third lap was actually well off the pace at a 39.343, and Justin Kerry's qualifying will come to an end in the short chute between corners number 1 and 2, where the car has quite nicely come to a rest on the camera. So this is going to give us technically a little bit more time. About an extra minute will be added more or less because of that incident. He won't be having to run the full final lap. And the 84 of Ryan Norton will be the next driver trying to bump their way into the field. And Zach, let's just be real. I know a lot of people have had their differences with Ryan Norton in the past, but he's a big hitter at the moment to be on the outside looking in, as the Broken Arrow driver will roll it off.
Yeah, this is one of those big names that I feel like really have a shot at making the field, but just haven't been able to find speed so far. Him, Jonathan Goat, he officially is DNQ'd, has used all 3 attempts. I mean, those are the 2 heavy hitters that won't be in the field. Norton here, he's on the same setup, he's with the same car, he's with the same guys that me and Treno are. I know he's going to be trying his hardest here. This is probably one of the runs to watch, and so as I see Michael Chin's just hopping into the server. I mean, the last 10 minutes here are going to be nuts.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes here are going to be absolutely insane. But the question is going to be is who do we have lined up after Ryan Norton? Not only do we have anyone lined up, but are we going to have the time? And actually, matter of fact, does anyone know by chance if we have anyone lined up after Ryan? So no one at the moment. Go ahead.
No one yet, but I'd assume Michael Chin's going to go ahead and ask for a run here once he gets loaded into the session.
So Michael Chin potentially will be the last person we see run a qualifying run here. We see Ryan Norton, his first lap, a blazing run of 42.06, 42 minutes and 6 seconds. But that was his out lap there. This will be his warm-up lap. His pit box was behind start-finish line. We made a couple mistakes with that yesterday, so apologies. So warm-up lap here for Ryan. And the thing, Tyler, we're talking about drivers really salvaging the tires and saving the tires on this sort of warm-up lap. He was completely off throttle and coasting through turn 1.
Yeah, he was really trying to save the tires there and possibly save a bit of fuel, because I know the drivers are pretty much setting that fuel to be as low as they possibly can go. It's pretty much get through through the fourth lap, and immediately run out. At least that was what the drivers would hope for. But as he goes through his warm-up lap and he starts his first lap, let's see what happens.
So lap number 1 is getting logged in the books right now. 1 and 2 going to be the first real challenge for Ryan Norton. And of course, this first lap is going to be so important. Down the back straightaway and in towards 3 and 4. We have 7 minutes remaining on the clock, maybe a little bit less. So it's going to be Ryan Norton, and then I believe Michael Chin will be it through turn 3 and 4 for the first time for Ryan Norton. And let's see what this first lap comes to. We've seen opening laps ranging from about the mid .1s to the mid .2s, and he logs a .232. He's thereabouts on the pace at the moment, Treno.
Yeah, it was a decent first lap. He missed turn 1 a little bit, missed turn 2. So that's a good couple hundreds right there. Hopefully he picks it up right here down the backstretch on lap 2.
Down the back straightaway, 234, nearly through 235 miles an hour into 4, right up against the inside curb and nearly pushed out a little bit wide there through turn 3, off of turn 4, and down the front straightaway. What does lap number 2 cycle in at? 39 what is going to come through at a 2:05, so he does improve on his second attempt as we check, and right now he's not looking that great on the pace, Zach. He's slower on the second lap than Silvio Sanchez was.
Yeah, he's trying. I know Norton's been really wanting this, and I don't know if he's going to make it. He's right on that cut, and it's going to suck not to have, one of our teammates in the race, especially with as good a guy as Ryan is. And I know he's caused some controversy in the past, but, with him and, for the matter, Andrew Wood, it really sucks kind of just to see guys getting, bumped from the show.
39.255 is his third lap, and that is well and truly off the mark. Nearly half a tenth off what Silvio Sanchez managed, and Ryan Norton's going to call it. He's going to find the inside retaining wall off of turn 2. Second big name we're going to see that is guaranteed to not make the field will be Ryan Norton, which means the last driver who will have an attempt before time runs out with 5 minutes left to go will be Michael Chin. He's got a minute before he gets the opportunity to get in. And Tyler, I think right now if Michael's smart, he'll get the call here in just a moment. He'll and then if I were him, I would burn that 1 minute I get, even if I don't need it. Just use up that time so no one else gets a run. 4 minutes left to go. He will roll off onto the racetrack, though.
Yeah, he'll roll off onto the racetrack here. And if I would do the exact same thing, Randy, I would absolutely use up this time here to make sure that nobody else gets a run in here and that he is the final one before the gun sounds here. There's only 4 minutes left, pretty much exactly, until that final gun will sound for qualifying.
So down this back straightaway, he will go on his outlap. Of course, if you're just tuning in with us, drivers get not only their outlap to work with, they actually get a full warm-up lap, which is what they get at the Speedway in the real world. It's not like what we typically get in the iRacing 500, where you have to get on it on the outlap, and that's basically you get half a warm-up lap here. So off of turn 4, he's just going to be cruising down, managing the fuel. And how tight is the fuel mileage for you guys, Treno? I know you guys want the cars super light for your qualifying run, so I'm sure you guys are probably have it to the half gallon if you can.
Yeah, everybody's in that same boat though. Everybody's trying to run the cars as light as possible, get the most speed you can out. I know that when I finished my run, I think I had maybe a tenth and a half left of a gallon. So other people, I think maybe a little bit closer, maybe a little bit heavier. It all just varies on how much you save on your out lap and your warm up lap when you're saving your tires. But if you do it right, going into one after you finish your run, you should be out of fuel, and that means you use every bit of ability you can in burning the fuel off and trying to get the most speed out of the car.
So lap number 1 will get started. He works through 1 and 2 for the first time with what we are expecting to be the final qualifying effort of qualifying here. Off of turn 2 and down the back straightaway for the first time. 1 and 2 looked okay. Didn't look like anything went majorly amiss there. But in towards 3 and 4 for the first time, it's the lap time that we're worried about. And we know mistakes can come at this end of the racetrack. Through turns 3 and 4 for lap 1. And let's see what he gets. Again, like we said with Norton, you're going to be wanting it to be in the mid 39 ones to the mid 39 twos. Let's see if he's there. And no, he's not. Michael Chin is off the pace, Tyler, at a 39.341.
Yeah, he is way off the pace there. That is a long way off what you want to be here for your first lap. This is not going to be a good run here for Michael Chin, and he's not going to have time to do another run. This is going to be the final run here for Michael Chin.
We're waiting for that gun to sound. It is about 60 seconds away as we're 10 minutes away from 5:49 p.m. on the East Coast. If he has any hope and any prayer of making this field, he needs to be nearly doing a 39.0 on this second lap. He'll come across start-finish line, 39.311, and that's nearly going to be putting it in the ground there and burying his chances, Zach.
Yeah, that's it, I think. I think that's done and dusted. I think you can go and stick a fork in that one. That's a shame. I know he was around Jonathan Goch's pace and back in May, and we were kind of looking over the leaderboards yesterday when me and AJ were kind of getting a little close to the bubble, and you know, it's a shame. I know a lot of these guys are quick, but this was his first run. It would have had to be a real bonsai attempt, and kind of come out of nowhere. But I mean, it's a consistent run at least, but it's nowhere near, I think, as quick as it needs to be.
39.329 on his third lap. So unless these guys have put something absolutely phenomenal into this car for the qualifying, he's not going to get it. I think he nearly scraped the wall as well, working down the back straightaway in towards turn 3 for the final time, and that car just looks slow based on what you typically be expecting. Through turn number 4, unless it's like a 38.0 or 37 something, he's not going to be anywhere close. Down the front straightaway, the time's going to clock in at a 39.589. Michael Chin will be your last qualifying attempt. The gun has sounded, qualifying has ceased, and Silvio Sanchez's 39.223 will hold.
So Silvio Sanchez will lock in that 33rd spot here on bump day qualifying, and that will conclude it. In the final 10 minutes, everything has completed here at 5:50 p.m. EST, and that is the final qualifying run that we will see. It's not a very good one there for Michael Chin, and does not make him into the field. So the 33 spots that you see, that were on the left-hand side of your screen, are it.
Yep, 33 spots there. You can see that red line that differentiates the drivers that are in the field and the drivers that are out of the field. But Treno, what's going through your mind right now to see someone like Michael Chin? I mean, you said they were up to speed yesterday, and I remember seeing, I think Michael was something along 20th or thereabouts, I believe, when he did his run yesterday. Maybe a little bit further down the running order, but that's a huge drop-off. I mean, it's almost like they lost a tenth and a half from the speed they had yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened there. I'm a little puzzled. He has and always has had really good speed in Indy. Chin has always been somebody who qualifies towards the front. So to be that far off on that run is just, it's mind-blowing. I'm not really sure what happened. I don't know if we missed him tapping the wall somewhere on his first lap and, you know, damaging the side pod or the front wing. And that would very much affect his, you know, the rest of his run. But yeah, being that far off is kind of shocking.
So you have it visually on the left-hand side of your screen, and I'll run down it vocally. This should be your starting order for the Open Wheels Open Wheels 500-mile race presented by Mitchell Transmissions tomorrow. Front row, the inside of the front row, this man been a legend in the IndyCar community. We saw him lock in his starting position yesterday. The only driver to lock in a starting spot yesterday officially. All 32 other spots were technically up for grabs. Young O will start on the inside in the pole position next week in the Open Wheels 500-mile race. Wilson Neto will be the driver starting in the middle of row 1 with John Hadjic-Doggett on the outside of that front row. Row 2 is going to consist of Michele Costantini, Henry Bennett, and Jeff Drake. Marco Aurelio Brazil, Brad Walters, and Chris Demerit will make up row number 3. Logan Simmons, Josh Chin, and Rick Music on row 4. Liam Quinn, Joe Branch, and Adam Blocker on row 5. Tim Doyle, David Adams, and Dylan Freckleton on row number 6. Riley Thompson, Chris Stouffer, and Brandon Treno on row 7. This is around the point that lap times today start really taking into effect. Zach Campbell, Austin Esmati, and Rob Powers will make up row number 8. Simon Bryant, John Downing, Dakota DeCenzo on row number 9. Matt Pavelski, Andre Seat, and AJ Burton on row 10. And your final starting row for the Open Wheels 500-mile race presented by Mitchell Transmissions will be made up of Brendan Lichtenberg, Hugo Olsen, and Silvio Sanchez. And Silvio managing to survive, Tyler. 2 drivers running after him to be able to not get bumped. Actually, it may have been 3, if I recall correctly. So that must have been a pretty nerve-wracking 15 or so minutes there for Silvio to be able to hold on.
Yeah, that had to be a very nerve-wracking. I believe you're correct there at 3 drivers really challenging him for that spot. And you've got to be so nervous whenever you see Andrew Wood get within 2 1,000ths of your time. He couldn't quite get there, though, and Silvio Sanchez will hold on. A 39.223 was good enough for him to get into the field.
We're going to go down some of the people that were so close. We see a driver rolling out. That's Marco Aurelio Brazil. The track is open if you want to go out and run some laps, but there will be no more qualifying happening this afternoon. So if you're not in the field, of course, that's too bad, and you can't improve your spot. But let's take a look at some of the names that narrowly missed out. Andrew Wood, we'll have a chat with him in a moment. Puts in a time of 39.225. Everyone, I think there were more than one of us that miscalculated the math after his 4th lap and said he was in. I was one of them. I believe Michele Costantini did the same as well. 39.225, 0.02 of a second separate Silvio Sanchez and Andrew Wood. Adam Plunkett, just another couple thousandths of a second back. Chad Simpson's not far off the mark. Same with Niall McBride, Jeffrey Stanton. There's a handful of big names in that running order there, Zach, that didn't make the field. Those names I just named off, of course. Blade Witt's in there. Matt Hollabaugh, we saw run. Ray Kingsbury. Some big names there, P34 to P36, that will not be running next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there's some real staples of the IndyCar community. Andrew Wood, Niall McBride, Chad Simpson. And, I mean, even, Ray Kingsbury even. I mean, there are tons of guys, and even guys who don't normally run the iRacing Indy 500 or Indy cars in general, but still are huge names on iRacing, like Blade Witt, like a Flynn Lazier, like a Jonathan Goat, or not Jonathan Goat, but like a Jeremy Davis. There are these guys who really have shown how competitive this race is and how hard it is to make the field, because to be in that fast 33, you have to be not only faster than those guys, you have to be faster than everyone else who's gunning for those guys. And so this was honestly and truly one of the harder races to make in iRacing history, even just to qualify for. And it feels like you've done a race already just going through this weekend. And I can't imagine how next weekend's going to feel after we finish 500 miles.
Well, we've seen the drama play out in the past. In 2017, it was James Hinchcliffe whose heart was broken and where the drama circulated around. In 2018, it was Fernando Alonso who disappointed the racing world when he and McLaren missed the Indianapolis 500. And the man today who just barely misses out by 0.02 of a second is Andrew Wood. Andrew, tell me about what you're feeling, what's going through your head. I know it has to be devastating.
Actually, when you mentioned those names, it kind of put a smile on my face that I'm kind of in some good company of people who have been in my position before. But yeah, it was a tough weekend for sure. My first run was a joke, and the second run yesterday, talking to a bunch of the guys in the paddock and everything, it seemed like it was going to be a pretty good bet that I'll be in the show. So I kind of went to sleep a little easy last night, but when I saw the times this morning, I started to kind of shake and quiver a little bit. And, I knew I had to really put a lot of time in today, so I spent a lot of time doing practice qualifying runs and such. And, actually what I was running would have had me easily in the field. But, yeah, the last run I had there seemed okay to me. I took away all the timing and everything. I didn't even want to see how I was doing. I just wanted to hit my marks. And when I finished the session there, I felt like I was in. So, yep, just missed it by a couple of ticks there. But I gave it my best effort this weekend. I put in a lot of time, much more than I did a few months ago. And the bright side is I'll be first reserve in case someone can't make it next weekend.
And how was the track today compared to yesterday? Was the track any different? We saw a couple drivers who had speed yesterday, but sort of inexplicably had a big drop-off. Michael Chin there at the end, kind of the big example who was, everyone was kind of looking at probably, very likely to bump his way into the field there. And he was just 0.2 of a second off the mark, which is really weird for some of the big teams as all the testing you typically go. We're not exactly sure what happened to the 35 there, but was the track any different today than yesterday? How did it really feel?
Yeah, definitely there was something different between the 2 days. I felt, it seemed like a clear track wasn't as fast as everybody, or a green track rather, was as fast as everybody thought it was, myself included. I actually ran a little better on a slightly used track from when the session began, which is why I was kind of happy with where I was going because I knew I could run the time that I wanted. But yeah, I could definitely tell there were some slight differences in track conditions today.
Well, Andrew, I apologize, of course, for you not making the field. I know it's something you would have been working a lot for, but I know you'll be working on the pit box for your team. Before we let you go, who gets it done for that number 32, and who will you likely be helping next week if you don't manage to make the event, if no one drops out?
Well, of course, a big thank you to Tanner for putting this event on. It was beautifully run, kind of went off without a hitch except a couple of minor hiccups yesterday, but nothing that was even going to be remembered next year when we do this. And he put a lot of time and effort in, and he's a good friend of mine as well. So big shout out to Tanner there for doing such a great job, and I think I speak for everyone there. And then of course my team talent guys that kind of kept me focused and on the straight and narrow this week, and of course all the competitors that I've been kind of joking around with all weekend and talking a lot with. So let's see what happens next week. Maybe I'll be in the field, but if not, I'll definitely be helping my team, trying to strategize a bit, trying to get us the win.
So there was Andrew Wood, ladies and gentlemen, who will be your 34th place pace holder at the moment, currently not qualified and will not be taking the start next week. Two people who are in, though, we've had them for pretty much the entire duration of the broadcast, or at least the last 2/3, are both Brandon Treno and Zach Campbell. And Treno, I'll take it to you first. How are you feeling? I know that because of the way the qualifying worked with day one cars starting ahead of those who qualified on day two, that you're going to be rolling off, I believe it'll be the 21st position, but you had pace to put you up there on the inside of the second row. How are you feeling knowing that you're probably one of the quicker cars starting pretty deep in the field on the inside of row 7? Or excuse me, the outside of row 7.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm on the outside. So being on the outside, it's going to be a little tricky heading off into turn 1, but you just got to put faith in everybody around you that will keep it clean. Hopefully not have any wrecks. But yeah, to qualify 4th, probably could have had 3rd if I didn't mess up the 4th lap there. But no, we've got good pace. We've always had good pace at Indy. Every time we show up, we've always been fast, and we're gonna hit the books hard this week with our race set. Try to find some more speed out of it, and hopefully make it even better.
And Zach, you're in basically the same exact boat that Brandon is. You were not that far off of him in qualifying, only about 100th and a half off your 4-lap average. You start you're the next spot back. So he starts on the outside of row 7. You start on the inside of row 8. Very similar situation. How are you going to be feeling trying to work your way through the field through the 500-miler next week?
The good thing is that it's 500 miles. I wish we did that run yesterday, but I'm glad we got it done. I actually yesterday ran the same time as Andrew Wood, so If we hadn't gone again today, we might not have made it. So really starting this far back it's not too much of a detriment when you think about it, just because it is such a long event and really anything can happen. You can see guys like Alexander Rossi in 2018 going 32nd to 4th, or Louis Meyer in 36 going from 26th to winning the race, I believe. So it's a long race and anything can really happen. So I don't really have too many apprehensions at starting the back, especially with the piece our whole group and especially Treno has helped put together. Our race set, I feel, is probably our strongest component. And I really don't think starting position matters all too much. I think all that matters is that my money comes in heaps and the kids love me in the streets.
So Zach Campbell definitely playing up his gangsterness there, which as someone who knows Zach, he's not nearly that gangster in actuality. Before we close this out, let's run down once again your starting grid for the Open Wheels 500-mile race. They'll be coming at you next week, presented by Mitchell Transmissions. On the pole position, like we said, we saw him run yesterday. A man that I think a lot of people were surprised that he just came out of retirement, so to speak, and was this quick. It was Young O with a time of a 39.143. Wilson Neto on the inside of that, or excuse me, on the middle of that front row, with John Hadjic Doggett on the outside of row 1. Michele Costantini, Henry Bennett, and Jeff Drake, they will make up row 2, with Marco Aurelio Brazil, Bradley Walters, and Christopher Demerit on row number 3. Logan Simmons, Josh Chin, and Rick Music make up row 4, with Liam Quinn, Joe Branch, and Adam Blocker on row 5. Tim Doyle, David Adams, and Dylan Freckleton on row 6. Riley Thompson, Chris Stouffer, and Brandon Treno on row 7. Zachary Campbell, Austin Espati, and Rob Powers on row 8. Simon Bryant, John Downing, and Dakota DeCenzo on row 9. Matt Pavelski, Andres Eek, and AJ Byrne on row 10. With Brendan Lichtenberg, Hugo Olsen, and Silvio Sanchez is currently your 33-car field for the Open Wheels 500-mile race next week, presented by Mitchell Transmissions. We thank you all for joining us for the 2 days of coverage we've had for qualifying. We saw the drama yesterday of pole day, and we got to see it firsthand, the dramas of bump day and the difference that can make being in the field, the stress of seeing if your run will hold up, and the utter heartbreak when your run does not get you into the list of the 33 fastest qualifiers. I have to thank everyone who helped me through coverage over the past couple of days. Tyler Maxon has been there for both of them. We also had Christopher Demerit join us yesterday as well. His coverage and his expertise was very valued. Nolan Rempel as well joined us, and Brandon Treno and Zach Campbell for joining us for the coverage today. That is going to do it for us for our coverage of qualifying. Be sure to join us for the race that'll be happening next week. It's going to be a great one, and we hope to see you all tune in. But until then, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.